guys, welcome to another episode of MrLopezClasses.com. Today is a special video clip. In this video clip we are going to analyze the troubleshooting in a Suzuki Outboard 4-stroke 220 horsepower is 2004, I think so. That engine have a couple of problems. One of the problems is the engine shut down in idle. And the other problem is a problem on the computer. The engine has a code. The code is an active code shift control position. Alright, and we are going to try to solve the problem with a special analysis. In that situation we are going to work with Danny Rodriguez, Professor Rodriguez, with Professor Glenn, and with Robert, other professor, all school professor, 4 generation of instructors solving problems. This is a real situation with a real boat, with a real customer, and we are going to try to solve that problem on that boat. Remember that when you try to solve problems related with codes, the majority of the codes are related to electrical or electronic issues on the engine. But not all the mechanical problems produce a code in the computer. A lot of mechanical issues on the engine produce codes, of course, but not all of them. This one in particular, the engine shut down in idle, is not producing a code. We only have one code when we connect the scanner, when we connect the computer, we only have one code. That code is related with the shift position control. And the other problem that the engine stopped suddenly in idle, shut down, and this is a different problem, and that problem not produce a code on the computer. Okay, for that reason, we think, Mr. Rodriguez, Glenn, Robert and me, we think that only if we remove the IAC valve, air intake control valve, and we clean the valve, we can solve the problem. Alright, we are going to try it. Of course, in order to do that process, we recommend start the engine, preheat the engine, and after that stop the engine and try to remove the IAC valve, try to clean the IAC valve with any solvent, with any cleaner, carburetor cleaner, and after that putting back the IAC valve and start the engine again and verify if the problem disappeared. But in order to start the engine and preheat the engine, we need advance the throttle, because in this moment you try to start the engine and the engine shuts down immediately. For that reason we are going to advance the throttle a little in order to start the engine, preheat the engine, and after that we are going to remove the IAC valve. Alright, that's the first step. For the second problem, we have the problem with the shift control position. We think that a good idea is switch the computer with the computer of the starboard engine. The actual problem is in the port engine. And yes, we are going to switch the computer because the other engine is running in perfect conditions. We are going to switch the computer, and with the other computer we are going to start the engine again, and probably the code disappear. That's possible. In that case, bingo, the problem is the computer. We buy the new computer and that's it. Okay, if when we switch the computer the problem continue, probably we need to check the sensor, and if we replace the sensor and the problem continue, probably the problem is on the harness. Alright, this is the process to solve it. This is exactly the same procedure used to solve any type of code. We need to check the computer, we need to check the sensor, and we need to check the harness and verify if the harness is open in any of the wires. Okay, and in this particular case, during that procedure, long procedure, we found another problem. We found that when the engine is running, a lot of water is coming out in between the power head and the middle section. Yes, this is another issue that we need to report that issue to the owner of the boat. because that problem is not authorized for the customer. For that reason, we need authorization for him. We need remove the power head and replace that gasket. All right, this is an other estimate. Okay, we are going to start connecting the computer, preparing the conditions. We are going to put a bucket with water in the bottom of the lower unit. We are going to start the engine, preheat the engine. It's a lot of work, but I want that you enjoy this wonderful video clip about troubleshooting in outboards for trucks. Danny, in this motor outboard for trucks Suzuki, I have in this moment two problems.
Yes, the two problems we have is one, the code showing that we have a shift problem. And the second problem is actually a running problem. So when you turn the engine on, it won't idle, it shuts down. Immediately. And then so what I have to do to keep the engine running, I have to advance the throttle. So let me explain what I'm doing when I advance the throttle. When I advance the throttle, what I'm doing is I'm giving it more air. The same job with the IAC system does.
Correct.
Okay, so when the IAC system is working, the plunger moves in and out in order to keep the engine running at a certain RPMs. But if the IAC's not working, well, let's just say it's stuck closed, what happens is the engine dies and it stalls out. So by me giving the throttle, I bypass that system. So what you and I did was we cleaned it, because we noticed when we took it out, we seen the carbon deposits. We cleaned it all up, cleaned the inside, cleaned the outside, put it all back together, and we fired it up and it ran.
And we solved the first problem.
We solved the first problem, and we'll show later on the second problem that we're going to resolve.
Okay. For the second problem, we switch the computers, but we continue with the problem.
Right. The problem when we did the computers, because the computer is a driver, okay, and the computer didn't solve the problem. So, and the only reason we did the computer first was because it was easier to swap the computer than swapping the sensor. But now that we did that and the problem stayed on the other side, so the next step is to swap the sensors and verify our findings.
Perfect. Now we are going to connect the computer to scan that engine. It's simple. We have any laptop. The secret is the scanner. The scanner have the connection for the engine. Danny have the connection for the engine into the harness of the engine. And we have the connection for the laptop. We can use any laptop. The secret is the scanner. This is the scanner specific for that specific engine. Alright, we are going to connect the computer. The computer is connected with the scanner, and the scanner right now is connected with the harness of the engine. We are going to prepare the conditions. In the bottom, we are going to put water on the lower unit, and we are going to connect the fuel line into the engine in order to start the engine. And we are going to do the diagnosis on the engine right now.
So after we hook up the computer, we're going to turn the ignition key on, do a computer readout to see what failure we have before we run it. Yep.
And the IAC valve
right
on the intake manifold. No?
Correct.
All right, and this is the vacuum diaphragm for the throttle, no?
Absolutely, yes.
Correct. Okay.
And here's your fuel rail for your injectors.
And
your TPS. And this is a map sensor.
Yeah,
this is
because in the intake manifold. Correct.
Right.
That's the map sensor. Look at this. What is this?
This one here, that's I think the air temp.
Yeah, correct.
Air temp.
Correct. Okay, Danny, in this particular case, what is the name of the code that we have on the computer?
Right now we have a shift code.
And you have suspicion that that code is related with the IAC sensor.
Well, I think we have two different codes. We have because the code, again, we discussed that if it's not an electrical failure, it's a mechanical failure. If you notice when we started this engine originally, I
Correct.
had to give it throttle to fire it up, and it'll run good. Once I have it throttle, it's when I go down to idle, it stalls out. So it could be a mechanical failure as far as the plunger going in and out.
Okay.
And then as far as the shift, that could be a bad sensor or a shorted out harness.
Okay. For that reason, we are going to start with the IAC sensor.
Correct. I will tell you first we should do is check the shift, because that's giving us the code.
Correct.
And then from there we'll troubleshoot it, because I definitely assume that we have an IAC.
For that reason, we disconnect the chip.
We disconnected and the alarm still went off.
Correct.
But the thing is, it has to make continuity. So what we'll do is I'll bridge it to make the continuity to make sure it
All
works.
right. Okay. The next step is check the IAC.
Yeah, and then after that we'll do the IAC.
All right. Okay. We are going to remove the IAC in order to verify the condition. Oh, Danny. Look
Pretty
at
dirty.
this. All right. Yeah. What is the solution?
Well, what we're going to do now is Robert is going to get some power tune, and we're going to spray power tune and clean it, and then we're going to retest it.
This is basically carbon deposit. No?
Yes, it's carbon deposit. What happens is that plunger moves in and out. If you look in the hole here, you see where that plunger goes in.
Correct. Okay. We are going to clean and we are going to put it back and try again.
Reinstall it and try again.
All right. Look at the condition, the new condition. It's better. And probably right now, it's moving free. Danny, now the IAC is clean. It's supposed that it's working properly. We are going to start the engine again to verify if the code stay over there.
Well, we're going to verify that the engine doesn't shut right back down. If the engine fires up and it idles good, then we'll resolve the IAC problem. It's still,
Right.
even though we cleaned it, we seen there was a lot of carbon deposit, but we don't know for sure if there's still a problem mechanically movement.
Correct.
But this is the only way to know. You have to do a process of elimination. We investigated, we visually inspected it, and we realized that it was carboned up. So we cleaned it. Now we're going to do the test now.
Okay, if not, we investigate in other place.
Another place, correct.
There you go. Right now the problem was solved. The engine start, no stop.
That was perfect. Danny, in that specific engine,
you have a leak in between the power unit and the middle section. What is
Yes.
the consequence?
Well, consequences is you're going to have exhaust and water coming out the side causing major corrosion. As far as the performance on the engine, I don't think it'll affect it that much, but more corrosion issues. And if it gets any worse, then we might have a pressure issue in the
For that reason, we don't have a code in the computer right now.
No, we don't have a code with the computer right now for that.
That's incredible, no?
Yeah.
It's a big issue, and you don't have a code, because normally the computer only read electrical problems,
Correct.
no mechanical
Yeah,
problems.
it only like here's an example. If you have an IAC, if it's electrical failure, the computer's going to pick up on it. But if it's a mechanical because the throw's not doing it because either carbon buildup or it's just the thing's worn out, it won't show that code. The computer only shows electrical failure. It never shows mechanical.
mechanical
You can
failure.
have an injector that works, like just say on the E-Tex.
Yeah, correct.
It works. Electrically it works, but mechanically it's not working. The computer won't recognize it. That's why you have to do a drop-down test.
Correct. Danny, we have two problems. One problem was solved because you cleaned the IAC, and right now the engine is running in idle perfect.
Right. It's running perfect.
But we have the code on the computer,
And the alarm's sounding off.
and we need eliminate possibilities.
Right.
How can you do that process?
Okay, so the code that we got was a shift code. So basically, I looked at which is the easiest to change because you have drivers in the computer that control things. So the computer was easier to take off than the actual shift sensor. So what we're going to do is we're going to swap the computer just to see if the problem goes away. If the problem goes away, then we know the problem's in the computer. If the problem doesn't go away, then we have to troubleshoot the wiring harness and to figure out what's going on from there.
Correct. All right, we are going to start. We are going to switch the computers, and probably we solve it.
And hopefully we solve
All
it.
right. Okay, we are going to start. Diego, it's simple. Remove the computers.
Yeah, I see.
It's simple. Okay. And right now we have this computer, and we are going to switch with the computer in the other engine.
So if the computer doesn't work, if you notice we disconnected the harnesses. Now, let's just say the computer doesn't work, then we can troubleshoot the continuity from here to the sensor itself.
Okay, this is the computer of the other engine, and we are going to install this one coming from the good engine into the engine with the problem. Computer.
Yeah, see, that's forward, that's working.
Neutral,
Yeah.
reverse.
Reverse is
Reverse is on. Put it in forwards.
Neutral,
on. Is on.
forward.
No, forward isn't working.
All right, no matter what, okay, wait a minute. It's in neutral now, right?
No, it's in forward.
Okay, if it's in forward, put in reverse.
Reverse.
Is
Neutral, neutral.
Neutral,
on. Okay. And go to forward.
forward.
So
It's the forward one stays off.
stays off. So it is a bad switch.
It's a bad switch. So the only way.
So when it's in neutral, it says on. When we go to reverse, neutral goes off, reverse goes on. Then we go back to neutral and it goes on. But when we go to forward, it still stays off.
Okay, so then we definitely verified that we have
A
a
shift.
bad shift switch.
This
Yeah.
is the confirmation. Bad chip.
Yeah. Bad shift switch.
Bad
Sensor.
switch. Danny,
Huh?
this is a confirmation that the chip is damaged.
Yeah, because Robert was telling me that when I put it in forward, it still says it's off. When I put it in neutral, it's off, and when I put it in reverse, it's on.
Correct.
So it's in one position that it's failed.
All right. Okay. Good. Next
Yep.
step.
Next step is to replace the switch and try it again.
All right.
Test it on the other motor and verify it, see what happens, how that switch reads.
It's a
And
good
then
idea.
and then you know for sure.
It's good.
Definitely, I guess it has to be closed. That's why we have still the alarm on no matter what. But the only way you're going to know, dude, is swapping it.
That's
And
it.
That's correct. That's correct.